Hey guys, it's Daniel Faust and War Hero to Superhero and Learn and Live. If you're wondering where my wife is at, she's not feeling too well today, but she'll be in the background going over and listening and answering comments and answering questions. So if you guys have anything, she'll be in the background going over and doing that. So we hope that you can stay and join us into our second part of our lesson, reconnecting in the bedroom. And we wanted to get into that because things are happening. Diseases, stay at home protests, and riots are some things that we're dealing with as Americans. And now you add our military and first responder lives, like we recently got updates on. Now we have to even be more precautious because of the riots and protests, and things can get to be overwhelming. So this month we're going to be focusing on reconnecting, and we're going to be talking about in the three realms. So today and for the rest of the week, we're talking about reconnecting in the bedroom. Next week, we're going to talk about reconnecting in the living room. And then in week 3, we're going to talk about reconnecting in the boardroom, because this is vital as we go over and reconnect and rejoin into the world. This is vital to go from surviving to thriving. I know it can be going and difficult just as people are transitioning back to work. So we wanted to really equip you with some skills, some tactics, some things to go over and think about re-equipping in from the bedroom to the boardroom. So going from there, each week we're going to dive into a different room, and this week we're talking about the bedroom. We're going to explore a part of that room that might need some reconnection, or maybe some connection that you maybe never even joined into. So again, I want to welcome you to the bedroom, and this is always a dialogue, never a monologue. So put your comments in the feed. My wife will be answering them from virtual side. I can go look at the comments as long as you went onto StreamYard and went over and went in there. So we're going to go tonight. We're going to dive into money. Now I remember the topic. That was the one thing I couldn't remember yesterday. I was like, what is Wednesday's topic? It's money, 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 money. Because the funny thing is that you usually don't want to talk about money in the bedroom, but money is one of the most avoided topics that's brought into the bedroom, brought into the marriage relationship, but it actually drives a lot of the divorces. Just like communication, money's in the top 10. So why not go over and put it on the table or put it on the bed, spread it out there, put the money out there, and let's go over and talk about it. So we're going to help you rip off the Band-Aid, because it's already probably awkward already listening to this, hearing about money. And you're like, all right, it's going to trend to a lot of things emotionally, spiritually, practically, psychologically. So let us rip the Band-Aid off for you to go over and start talking, because money is actually a mindset. So let us build some new ones. So we're going to challenge you in some mindsets that you probably believe that are cultural, and we're going to challenge you countercultural, because a war hero to superhero transformation is going against the culture in a sense for your transformation in there. Just like we're going over and doing that, just like I am pixelating today, and we'll be working on that transformation too. So bear with us. So let's jump into those mindsets, and let's go check the comments to see if there's any questions before we dive in. Oh, Ron said, absolutely. Thank you for going over and joining us. So, and let's go jump back in. So let's go into money mindset number 1. Money must be a we thing. We go over and we grow up, and then we get taught about finances, or maybe not taught about finances. And then we turn 16 years old and get a job. And I remember getting my first job at the grocery store, Stop and Shop. And it was a great job. And I was by myself from 16 to 18 earning money on my own. So I made the decisions. Get into the military at 18 and going over, and I'm still making the decisions fiscally and those types of things. And when I hit 25 and when I got married, it really was a struggle to go from I to we. The funny thing is we do a we thing in the family when you're raising your kids up until a certain point till they get a fiscal independence. But why are we going over and saying that it's an I thing? It's actually a we thing. Even if I am alone, I am still going over 98% chance of going over and getting married. And even if I go get a divorce, and we know a lot of veterans that have divorces, you're more than likely either going to cohabitate with somebody, or going to go over and marry somebody else, or you're going to maybe have a roommate, or whatever it is. That money must be a we thing. So we want to challenge you in this mindset as you are preparing to get married, or you're already married, or maybe you've been married for 20 or 30 years. Maybe there's some things that you haven't thought about that you are still in the I stage. Like when you go over and get paid for your paycheck, do you think it's we got paid today, or are you thinking I got paid today? Now, when you go over and handle things in life, are you thinking the we of like every dollar that you're spending, is it allocated in a we mentality? We as like we and our spouse, or if we have kids, we as the corporate whole. So I want to challenge you that you're probably thinking to yourself, like, I'm just going to say joint checking account. I'm absolutely going to not. Individual or joint checking accounts is not the issue at hand. It's agreement that is key. Is your spouse involved into the budget? Are they an active participant? Are they putting their needs, wants, and desires list up every first and the 15th? Are you guys budgeting on a monthly basis, yearly basis? Are you going making financial decisions together? When you're going over and making purchases, are you thinking of things together in that impact that every dollar goes over and counts? As you go make decisions, either decisions that are directly in the bedroom for intimacy and that type of stuff, household stuff that handles the living room operations, and even boardroom and business and educational decisions in that regard. It's an agreement is key. I have lost a lot of money because I made I type decisions. I'm going to college and I'm going to go do this out. But when I failed, we got impacted. When I went over and let's say skipped on a bill because, and I'm not proud of this, skipped on a bill because, I didn't think it was important. It was a we decision. And even when I was single, I wasn't thinking we decisions. And a horrible story for me, which hopefully you learn and live from this, is that I got married a few years later after Germany, and I made $1,300 extra a paycheck for 2 years. And then in Korea, I made still about $1,000 to $1,500 extra a month in that regard. I would have had $60,000 to $70,000 ready for marriage, would have been debt free if I would have spent smartly and changed my mindset from an I thing to a we thing. Let's go check the comments to see if there's any questions before we jump to the next mindset. Hey, my brother, glad to see you, to hear your voice. Hey, Richard, thanks for joining. The Comeback Coach, fantastic guy to go over and be connected with. Thank you for the shout out. So what do you think so far in this mindset? Do you go over and think that you're I in this particular regard, or do you think that you're a we? Because most times it takes, they say psychologically, it takes 10 years to go from I to we. And money is always the hardest thing. You can go over and get a new faith, get a new perspective, but the mindset of money, usually the wallet takes the most to convert. So where do you see yourself in that particular? We'd love to hear that in the comments in the feed. Mindset number 2 is the 4 S's. Now this is specifically not out there. This is my specific branding. I thought about this for a long time, and you guys can coin it. I don't care. It's like I'm not worried about money and whatnot, but this is something I thought about a long time ago, is the 4 S's. Do you have your 4 S's in order? And let me share what those are. The 4 S's are save, spend, share, and steward. So is that the next thing that you guys are coming together and reconnecting? Like, where do you see savings, and how much savings do you have to have? Do you just have the $1,000 emergency budget? Are you like most Americans and savings is not even on the radar and you hope to be a dream? What about spending? What's spending too much and too little? What is considered in that particular regard? How much do you share? Share resources with friends, family, churches, nonprofits, things of that nature. And how do you go over and steward your money? Like, for example, do you keep stuff until it goes over and dies, until it's totally gone? Or are you like a fast replacer? Are you a person that goes over and plans in buying insurance budgets and those types of things? Like when you buy an electronic device, pretty much anything nowadays can be insured. Do you go over and put that money aside to go over and do that? Do you take care of your stuff well? Do you just buy it real quick and just phase it right out? So I want to challenge you that there's more than just going over and just earning money and spending money. There's a save, spend, share, and steward. And when do you guys go over and look at that regard? Are you the natural saver? Because I know for myself, I'm not. You can just tell from my last story that I spent roughly $60,000 to $70,000 gone just like that. It took a lot of hard lessons of me bouncing the checking account on a regular basis because I had value sets in mindsets that I could just go over and earn more money. Now, that's not a bad thing that you can just earn more money. But the thing is that we only can trade so many hours for dollars, especially if you're from the employee mindset. And definitely even on the investor mindset, money can go over and go. Most Americans, 70% of Americans that win the lotto or get a massive infusion are usually back within 5 years, the same place that they were, broke. So it's good to go over and think of your mindset to go over and change on this save, spend, share, and steward. Oh, we're getting some good comments. Let's go check if see if you guys have any questions on it, because it's always a dialogue. Oh, my wife is totally in. I like to hoard. So she likes to go into it. Johnny B goes over and says, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. You are right on with the we. Oh, thanks, Johnny. Thanks for commenting on that. Awesome. Glad you guys are commenting. I love this to be a dialogue. So as much as possible, I have any questions. Let's go into mindset number 3. Mindset number 3 is one income is better than two. Now, this is countercultural, and I want to piggyback on this and give you some background on this. When I say one income is better than two, think about 2008. Think about what happened right now in 2020. Think about the housing crisis. Think about 9/11. Every 7 to 10 years, if you look in history, things go over and get reset on a regular basis. And what I saw over time is when we lived the two income family, and I'm not saying that husbands and wives both can't go to work together. What I'm saying is, fiscally speaking, when you live on two incomes and then you go over and a financial crisis happens, because financial crises are not an if, it's a when. It happens no matter what. You could have all your debts paid and one medical thing can go over and rake you over the coals. Like my wife had to go to the ER twice. And fortunately, so far the bills have been low, but we thought like we're going to get slammed $5,000 to $7,000, even though we have money and we're making continual money. When you go over and you rely on both incomes, trading hours for dollars, things could go over and change drastically. And most times, if you have both spouses continually working, if you're not making a high echelon of cash, you're spending between 40 to sometimes 70% of your income just going to work. Just calculate it. Go take the day and say, hey, if I'm making 40,000 and she's making 40,000, or she's making 50,000, he's making 30,000. I can give a perfect example. I've had this twice because I've been the stay-at-home dad before. Is that when my wife and I were both working, she was making $23 an hour. I was making maybe about 15. And I was spending the majority of the money, hiring the babysitting and going over in food operations and diapers and everything else. And it was just too expensive. When I went home, that $23 an hour, when she was a chef at a really high-end restaurant, we made more money, me staying home and just being a traditional reservist, going over and drilling, than going over and doing that. And we never went over and relied on that because we saw so many families get impacted that when layoffs happen, and then the husband or the wife loses the job and you rely on both those incomes, what happens? Boom. So our recommendation is that you rely on one income and the second income is supplemental. So you go over and you should be able to handle all the bills on the one income. If possible, that is the end goal. And then the second income is supplemental. Like, hey, you might take over rent or food or whatever the cost is. But if that job goes away, you're still able to go over and survive. We want you to go over and thrive. We highly recommend you to have 5 to 7 income streams, even if you're not a business, to go over and thrive. But when you rely on one income and then any other streams of income is supplemental to go get yourself ahead, get debt paid off and those types of things, it's going to help you thrive in a whole new mentality. And you're not just scared wits and stressed out and having to stay at work. Like me and my wife both work at Axon. At one time, we worked at a taser factory. And the thing is that we said, this is how much we as a couple are going to earn. And once we reach that goal, no matter if it's both of us together or me individually or selling of other products and services like books, consultations, workshops, those types of things, then we can go over and be free. So I was able to, certain days at other jobs that I worked in, including like Axon, whatever, I could take days off and not get penalized because I had other income streams coming in. And when she got sick or got tired or was overwhelmed and whatnot, when we worked at an election ballot place, she was able to take the day off because we knew our overall one income goal that we wanted to meet. At that time, it was both of us. But she was able to say like, okay, can I take that day off? I'm like, yeah, we met our goals that we were meeting for the week or the month, and you don't have to work as much because medical things are going to happen. Life changes are going to happen. Passions are going to happen. Frustration and stress. If you can rely on one income as an overall source, and then the second or third or fourth income stream would be fantastic because there's so many jobs now. They're predicting by 2025, and the numbers have gone up immensely by 2025 that most people are going to be a Ready Player One world and 50% of the jobs are going to be a telework. or virtual work or multi-level marketing. So we highly recommend that to break the mindset of two incomes are going to make it better and go to a one income mindset, but you both can go over and work to go over and to thrive. So that's another mindset we want to challenge you with. So the next one is mindset number 4, which this one's hard in the bedroom to understand because we don't think of it this way, but this is what happens. Financial struggles are a when, not an if. We think that we're isolated to go over and have these financial debacles, especially if we have a high-end job and whatnot. So once you get past the $50,000, $60,000 range and you get into 50, 60, 100, 150,000, you're thinking like, oh, my financial struggles are going to be an if. And that's a fallacy mindset. It's proven because 78% of Americans don't typically have a savings, and if there's a more than $400 gap in there, like a bill that comes up that's unseen and unheard of, and now you need to pay, you're struggling, borrowing from friends, using what's it called, payment services, like I can't remember the names, but you go over and use those payment services like come on, crowdfunders, using crowdfunders to go over and GoFundMe's to go over and do that. Most Americans, and we as military and veterans and first responders, we kind of do the same thing. We have like this invincibility mentality that financial struggles ain't going to go happen, and they do. And we're more apt to spend, and we're more apt to use credit cards, and we're more apt to get into payday loans, those sorts of things. We need to think of it in a sense of a contingency or a strategy in the military. We're always doing hot washes, thinking of exercises. What's the contingency? We need to plan our finances in a when type scenario. So you can use Dave Ramsey, you can use Crown Financial Ministries, maybe you can go to a financial counselor. There's tons of resources on Military One Source. Wherever you go over and go, the mindset needs to change that financial struggles are a when, not an if. So if you start planning on the when mentality, it's going to be helpful. It's going to be fruitful for you to go over and to thrive if you think on the when. So I'd love to hear your thoughts so far. We're already 2/3 away through our mindsets. We'd love to go over and hear what's your thoughts on these things. Do you agree with these types of mindset shifts? Do you not agree? Do you have other mindset shifts that you've gone over and made that maybe helped you go over and thrive in reconnecting in the the bedroom? Woo! We're in so many rooms today. Going from there, mindset number 5 is read books and go to classes together. So I challenge you, even if you're not a reader, there is audiobooks, to go over and to read financial books. Maybe you read Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace. Maybe you read, Crown Financial Ministries. Maybe you read some other financial books of wisdom to go over and to grind on. Now, I'm not the person that's a financial guru. This is just me hitting the wall again and again and again. And I'm just trying to share wisdom. But I'd highly recommend you to read books and go to classes together, even if it's classes free on the base, maybe offered from the VA, maybe it's offered from the precinct or from the state or federal. Maybe it's a financial class that comes in the town. Go over, and I challenge you to go over and to do that, because a person that's always reading and going to classes and growing is a person that's usually going to be the most wise. People like Robert Kiyosaki, Sharon Lechter, Michael Lechter, those type of things, Eric Zuli. Now that I'm getting the blessing of getting connected with these people are avid readers, and they're reading an average book a week. They're reading about 50 to 60 books. How did Robert Kiyosaki, a former Marine, become such an influential person? He was constantly reading, constantly studying, constantly going to classes. So if you want to break this mindset to go over and stay and get out of the war hero mindset and just living from paycheck to paycheck, first and the 15th, then I'd highly recommend you going over and reading books and going to classes together. And there's a lot of military opportunities, a lot of first responder opportunities. There's a lot of sometimes free opportunities in classes that they even sometimes might have, like a class in the background that they're selling, but a lot of times you can go to free and get a lot of great wisdom. Even when I was writing my book and Do Other Things for Business, I got into a lot of free classes. And yes, they offered a back of room sale at the end. People that are growing businesses are going to do that. But the thing is that getting that information is better than just sitting there and just trying to figure it out on your own. Our last mindset for you guys today is to ask the why so the freak out doesn't happen. Now, this gets into more personal. This is literally under the sheets type financial wisdom. And we need to go over and be financially naked. And what I mean by that is that we have certain thoughts on savings, on money, on spending, on when budgets go negative, checking accounts bounce, bills, how are they handle those types of things. And I challenge you to go ask the why of yourself first, because the first person that has to be naked is yourself. You shouldn't be asking your spouse while you're dressed, while doing the wild thing and whatever, and saying you get undressed first. I'm like, that doesn't work out well. You got to go over and you got to be naked first and be vulnerable to yourself and figure out those whys. And then you can ask your spouse on the whys so the freak out doesn't happen. We've been almost homeless before a couple times in this realm. And if you don't go over and get financially naked, then the freakouts are going to happen. Then you're going to have thoughts and feelings that are going to become actions and responses and make wrong decisions. You'll go over and spend money too quickly or hoard a bunch of money to never make that financial decision. You might never grab that dream of being an entrepreneur, which we'll be talking about tomorrow about dreams. But if you can't answer the whys in the money, in the financial world, the freakouts, then you might not get to your dreams and your destiny. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow on how to go over and to get in the bedroom and start talking about your dreams and destiny in that regard. So you want to ask those whys, and you want to ask them pretty deep, 3, 4, 5 times level deep to go over and to do that. So that's the challenge that we go over and have you to ask those whys. So what's your thoughts so far? Do you go over and agree with this content? Do you think you should be getting financially naked? Do you think you should go over and read books? Do you think that one income is enough for your family mindset, or is it a 2-income family? I'd love to go over and hear your thoughts on that particular, because here's our superhero challenge today. Our superhero challenge today is 1 good, 1 bad, create 1 together. Now, let me expand on that a little bit. So I want you to go share 1 good financial lesson that you learned either when you were a kid, a teen, or an adult, or maybe some wisdom that you read in a book. And I want you to share 1 good lesson that you want to learned on it to do financial wisdom. Maybe it was always carrying a checkbook. Maybe it was always going over and saying, like, I kept all my receipts, or I went over and actually kept a ledger. Or maybe writing down a budget. That was huge for me. I just spent, swipe. And I never wrote down my numbers. And now I write my numbers almost every single day, going those numbers and then reflecting those numbers to go over and do that. One of the good things for me is to not to do ACH. It might be good for you, but it might not be good for me. For me, ACH, I would tend to forget about it. So I'd rather go over and call. Like, the companies get ticked at me. They're like, oh, we want ACH. And I'm like, would you rather get paid, or would you rather have it bounce? I'm like, I don't care if I'm a dollaire or a billionaire. For me, ACH doesn't work because I forget about it. Now, you have enough money that increases in the flow, and you go over and do that. That's a great wisdom to do it, because it's set it and forget it. But if you forget it and you don't have the money in there, yeah. So share 1 good lesson with your spouse that you want to learn. Now, share 1 bad one that you used to do, or a bad lesson that maybe you learned from somebody else. I prefer the ones that you learn the bad lessons from yourself, because that's being financially naked. It's like, 1 bad lesson for me is like, I used to bounce checks like crazy. Digital checks, of course, because I stopped using those. I'd done so bad that I bounced a quarter and paid $29 for it. I had to go over and learn that money is not water. And the thing is, that mindset of always earning money all the time. Yeah, when you're a true entrepreneur and you have passive income, yeah, you can go over and do that. And you can sell ice to Eskimos. But the thing is that if you don't have Eskimos in your place, and I didn't have Eskimos, I was still. And now I want you to take that good one and your bad one that you went over and now shared with your spouse. And again, we recommend holding hands, because it's really already stressful and emotionally vulnerable. So be financially naked. We're not saying strip naked, but that would be funny. Don't comment that in the feed if you had. That's your own personal intimacy. But holding hands while you're sharing these things. Now, the good ones, you might be okay not holding hands, but in the bad ones, definitely hold hands to keep that connection. And then, now that you're married or you're dating to go and be married, create 1 habit together, because you might find out that you have this habit that's good, but maybe it's not good for both of you. You need to create 1 that's lasting together to go over and to thrive. So those are our mindsets and our superhero challenges. Let's go check on the comments real quick. Wifey gave a smiley face or a laughing face. All right, thank you for that. So she's there in the feed. If you guys have any questions in regards, she's there, readily available. And lastly, we always want to encourage you guys. Two things. One, this is always a dialogue, never a monologue. So any questions, as long as you're putting them in the comments, either my wife in the background or we'll answer the comments at the end. This is always a dialogue, not a monologue. So if you're watching this on Podopolo as it gets populated in the future, or you're going over and watching this on YouTube or wherever it goes, put the comments in there. We love to go and engage, and we'll get back to you as quickly as you can. And specifically this time around, if you're struggling in your marriage, specifically in the bedroom on finances, maybe it's sex, maybe it's communications, no matter what it is, and your reconnection is not there, that you're having difficulty, you're just lost, you're astray. Maybe you're just a person that's maybe single. I mean, not single in the sense that maybe your husband or wife is not ready, but you want to start the steps. The link below that's in the teaser, in the trailer, is our offer that we want to give you. And it's discounted for this week and this week only. We did an awesome virtual summit with the Easy Way Network, and we offer our Leave No Behind master course in here. We basically taken our book, brought it to an asynchronous level, which means you can take the course at your own pace and take the course, learn the lessons, connect to one of our war hero to superhero consultants to help you take this knowledge from information to transformation. And we did a 50% discount. We normally charge $9.97, but for this week, and because of the virtual summit, we're at $4.97. So we'd love for you to go check out the link. You can go over and direct message me for more questions and whatnot. And then you get to go over and connect and basically go over and thrive. We normally charge $1,000 for this. For the class itself, it's $497. If it's consultations, it gets to $100 an hour, but you get basically 5 hours with us personally, one-on-one, and then you get 12 hours of content, and you get unlimited text capability up to 72 hours. We answer back, and we're only going to have 50 people in this group, so we're going to serve you well and be available to you to go over and handle that. So hopefully you're not in that place, but if you are struggling in your marriage and you're like, I don't know where to go, I mean, especially as military veterans, first responders, because that's my heart, that's who we serve, we'd love to go over and connect with you. So hope this was fruitful for you. We're going to check the comments one last time. Johnny B says, I love this. One bad, I'm divorced. One good, I'm 67. And create a foundation financially. Well, Johnny, we're sad that we hear that you're divorced and that you're 67, but yes, creating a foundation financially. If you get married again, or if you're dating, it's definitely key. So we hope maybe you can go over and reconcile. And if not, then hopefully your next relationships are fruitful. So thank you for your time. Let's go over and get back to the banners. Boop. There we go. Well, there you go. Fading again. Green screen. So we're still working on that to go over and get the kinks out. So if I look pixelated, maybe you're paying attention. See, if I move my arms, I'm not pixelated. So hopefully this goes over and serves you. We love to go over and connect with you. This is always a dialogue, not a monologue. I know I'm the only one speaking right now, but we will engage with the comments, not just in the video, but afterwards. And we love to go over and connect with you soon. And again, our ticker's in the bottom if you need to go over and connect on a deeper level, or you can direct message us and we can send you the link. So we'll see you tomorrow on reconnecting in the bedroom and bringing your dreams into the bedroom so you can take them out of the bedroom on forward to the living room and boardroom. So when you're reconnecting into that world, you're going over and thriving and not just surviving. Again, this is Daniel Faust, one of your hosts, and we hope to catch you tomorrow on the next live. Thanks. Bye.